A Russian national found not guilty on all counts. Igor Danchenko was accused of lying to the FBI about the anti-Trump dossier that was part of the run-up to the Russia probe.
This is part of John Durham's investigation, the special counsel appointed by then-Attorney General Bill Barr back in May 2019 to look at the origins of the narrative that pinned Donald Trump to Russia.
Fox's David Spahn at the federal courthouse in Alexandria, Virginia. This was the second trial stemming from Durham's investigation. Earlier this year, a Hillary Clinton campaign attorney was also acquitted of lying to the FBI.
We do expect some sort of narrative to come out, a final Durham report, just like we saw the Mueller report.
Durham has been highly critical of the FBI's handling of the investigation targeting the 2016 Trump campaign. A verdict also just reached in the 1996 disappearance of California college student Kristen Smart. Prosecutors say Paul Flores, who's now 45, killed her and that his father helped cover up the crime. Paul Flores just found guilty of first-degree murder. 3 weeks to the midterm elections. President Biden is making abortion access a priority.
If Democrats keep control of the House and expand their numbers in the Senate, President Biden says the first piece of legislation he'll send the new Congress will be to codify Roe v. Wade.
Together we'll restore the right to choose for every woman in every state in America. So vote. You got to get out the vote. We can do this if we vote.
President made the promise at a DNC event in Washington, D.C. House Democrats have passed legislation expanding abortion protections nationwide. Those have failed in the 50-50 divided Senate.
Fox's Jared Halpern at the White House. Republicans keeping the focus on inflation and crime. America is listening to Fox News.
You know that Big Bargain detergent jug is 85% water, right?
85% water? I thought I was getting a better deal because it's so big.
If you want a better clean, Tide Pods are only 12% water. The rest is pure, concentrated cleaning ingredients.
Ooh, pass me the intercom thingy.
Attention shoppers. If you want a real deal, try Tide Pods.
Don't pay for water. Pay for clean. If it's got to be clean, it's got to be Tide Pods.
Water content based on the leading bargain liquid detergent.
When you're an innovative business, every blinking cursor, every blank page is an opportunity. What will you do with it? Will you make something better or create something new? Our Dell Technologies advisors provide you with tools and expertise to do incredible things. Because we believe there's an innovator in all of us. For advice on smart PCs powered by Intel V Pro that's built for business, call a Dell Technologies advisor at 877-ASK-DELL.
A person of interest in a quadruple murder in Oklahoma is arrested in Florida after he went missing.
Joe Kennedy was driving a stolen car when he was taken into custody in Daytona Beach. Okmulgee police plan to question Kennedy a second time about the deaths and dismembering of 4 men. Their bodies were found in a river last week. Police say Kennedy owns a scrap yard in the town where investigators discovered evidence of violence.
Fox's Gernal Scott. At this point, Kennedy is not charged in the murders, but the process to get him back to Oklahoma is getting underway. The State Department says a U.S. official spoke today to 2 Americans detained in Russia, Brittany Griner and Paul Whelan, also urging the Russian government again to take the undisclosed deal offered by the U.S. earlier this year to facilitate their release. A new music drought may end soon for fans of an iconic band.
Rolling Stones, Gather No Moss. The rock and roll superstars are reportedly set to release their first new album of music in 18 years next summer. According to The Sun, this would be the band's first effort since losing their longtime drummer Charlie Watts last year. The band spent the summer performing at numerous venues across Europe in honor of their 60th anniversary as a group, which was kicked off by a salute to their late friend Watts. Earlier this summer, Mick Jagger even dealt with a bout of COVID-19.
Fox's Michelle Polino. A rain-delayed deciding Game 5 is finally underway in New York. The Yankees and the Cleveland Guardians settling who advances to face the Astros in the American League Championship Series, which begins tomorrow in Houston. The Yankees taking an early lead. They're up 4-0 after 2 innings. 2 in a row for Wall Street. The Dow gaining 338 today. Elisa Brady, Fox News.
Showtime. Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention? I need all of you to stop what you're doing and listen.
Pipes is writing down a lot of stuff. I'm just going to go from the gut. And joining us now, Coach Bielema, Josh Whitman joining us now.
You get to say all the cool name drops.
Do it.
Brad Underwood, our guest.
College hoops.
How do you lose to Jackson State?
Call up every single person in the media that didn't put Kofi first team All-American. And I don't know, just play like clown noises.
I want to bet the Bears.
Oh, Michael Porter Jr. has been good, but he thinks the earth is flat, so I can't pick him.
Oh, boy.
Throw it up to Kofi, and he's just going to tear the rim off.
How is he so good? All right, Hans, I'm going to mute you for a while.
Okay.
Oh, there's a timeout on the court!
So what we want to do is build a same-game parlay that will win all of us some money.
Maybe Rondale Moore could beat Cooper Kupp, but he's not. Is it Instagram?
Yeah.
Is that what IG means?
I think you have to win the Big Ten title to win Big Ten Player of the Year.
Woohoo!
Wow, what a bad take.
And good morning. Let's see, I'm about 60%. That's it, Derek. 60%.
What were you yesterday?
30, maybe 30.
Hey,
It'd
be 120 tomorrow.
I had left my phone at work down at the office, so I had to leave here, go get my phone. You should have seen some of the interesting comments about my voice on my phone. So I didn't know a lot of people cared about that, but they're like, "You sound like crap." I mean, that was the basis of it. Or you sound
they
like...
just found creative ways to
Yes.
say you sound terrible.
You sound like you... Just different things. Yeah, just fill in the... I'm like, okay.
We're in Knoxville on Saturday.
Right. Exactly. Or, of course, Champaign on
Of course, yeah.
Getting it done. I just told Kyle, our intern who's here, by the way, it is The Drive with Tay and Piper, Lonte, Derek Piper. Kyle Tosk is here. We'll go over the NFL next hour. Look, I need a day off from tailgating. I honestly do. And I'm going to get 2 weeks off. Of course, this week it is a bye week. And then, of course, at Nebraska next week for Illinois football. We are going to visit with Adam Rittenberg, ESPN. He's a national writer, covers the Big Ten and college football for ESPN. We'll talk to him around 4:15. Baseball going on, and Pipes, the Yankees look like they're off to a good start today.
Up 4-0, Game 5 of the ALDS in New York. Stanton hit a 3-run bomb in the first inning. Aaron Judge hit a solo in the second. Aaron Savali, who started for the Cleveland Guardians, lasted 1 out. So rough one for the Guardians. And a big boost for New York with having this game postponed last night. It went from Jamison Talion starting for them to now Nestor Cortez has been one of their best pitchers. He's on the mound on short rest, but he's got a 4-0 lead to work with right now.
So a little bit of a break for the Yankees. Harrison Bader is not homered in this
game? He walked because you got to pitch around that guy. He's hit a bomb in 3 of the 4 games in this DS. He's been a big boost for the Yankees.
It's unbelievable. I read a nice article today on ESPN about Bader and about, him getting traded to New York. And he told a buddy, he's like, I hate this. I don't want to go because I've established a home in St. Louis. But then he said, I'm going to show St. Louis that they did the wrong thing. And I don't blame him, right? I don't blame him. And, of course, it took a while for him to get playing because of the foot injury. But now he's back. Now he's playing well. And, it's just like a dream come true for him because he grew up in Bronxville,
right? Which
I assume is in the Bronx.
I would think that'd be a good guess. I'm happy that he went to a team that he grew up looking to, and then the fact that you put him on a contender. Like, it would stink to be on a Cardinals team that's leading the division. You send him to the Kansas City Royals or a team that's not in the mix, not going to go to the playoffs. So, unfortunately, he had some blood, sweat, and tears that were poured out, and also some hair that got left in St. Louis, too, because I guess you got to cut your hair to play for the Yankees. So somehow they're still letting that go on.
Well, exactly. The winner of this then, and again, Yankees up 4-0, will play Houston in the ALCS. The NLCS begins tonight in San Diego. The Padres and Phillies, who'd have thunk, right? You got a 101-win Mets team out, 101-win Braves team out, 111, I think, win Dodgers team out, Cardinals out.
96
and now
90-some win Cardinals team out.
I think for the first time ever. No, in fact, I know for the first time ever, 2 teams with 90 or less wins battling for the NLCS.
Wow!
So this will be interesting. And look, the Phillies they showed their offensive power against Atlanta. I mean, they really didn't do that against the Cardinals except for the 9th inning of Game 1. Let's be honest, right?
Yep.
I mean, they were up 1-0, is that right? And then exploded for 6 runs, or they were up 2-0, and then they win Game 2 2-0. The Cardinals just flat out did nothing. But then all of a sudden against the Braves, they went like 7, 8, 9 or something like that in terms of runs. We know the Phillies can score runs. And in this series, there's only one day off. It's after Game 2, which I think is going to favor the team with the better bullpen. Well, that would be San Diego, unless Philadelphia's offense can really continue to keep rolling against the Padres pitchers.
Yeah, San Diego has the advantage in the depth of rotation.
Yep.
When you think about the guys they can stack up. Now, Zach Wheeler and Aaron Nola have been really good so far in the postseason for the Phillies, but also, to your point, the Padres bullpen, obviously Hader on the back end has been absolutely lights out, but yeah, the Phillies lineup is a problem. And I think that while you start off in San Diego, Philly's able to get one and go back to Philadelphia, that would really put them in a good situation. Bryce Harper has been carrying them. He's been unreal. He was in that series, especially against the Braves. But, Realmuto, Hoskins, Alec Boehm, they've got a lot of Schwarber. It just goes on and on. Now that the Padres don't have some guys in their order, too, in Machado and Soto.
Sure.
But, yeah, Philly with the bats advantage and the Padres with a little bit more to work with in the rotation. It'll be an interesting matchup.
We can talk a little more baseball as we roll along. Again, we'll go through the NFL next hour with Kyle Tosk ripping through that. But now let's keep going with the hot topic of the week. And by the way, we're going to hear a Dane Danger interview. He caught up with Jeremy Werner, our old buddy at Illini Inquirer. So we'll let you hear that next hour. I haven't heard much from Dane Danger, so it'll be interesting to hear that as he gets ready to roll. I know he said, Derek, he's chomping at the bit to get out there and just be a madman.
He's got to be, as someone that was pretty highly ranked in that class. I'm trying to think what it was, 2019 or 2020 class.
I was going to say.
And he went to Baylor for a year, sat out his entire first freshman season because of a foot injury, and then his second year barely played, wasn't in good shape, and wasn't 100% healthy, and transferred after playing in 3 games.
Yeah.
So it's been a long time since Dane Danger's been out on the court, and a guy that has a lot of ability now has a remade frame, body by Fletch, and we'll see what he's got.
I want to talk to you about that later, just the evolution of the center at Illinois. I mean, you had the ultimate guy in Kofi, and now you're looking at a guy in Coleman who doesn't at all look like a 5. I mean, he does in
He's
terms
not a
of
true
height.
5.
Right, he's not a true 5. You went from a true 5 to not. Although Dane Danger can kind of fit in as that true 5 role, but more of a true 5 now. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense? In today's day and age, where you get out, you can shoot, you can play that pick and roll, etc. So it's interesting how Illinois, the center at Illinois, the last 2 or 3 years, you're going to see just the differences in what it looks like in college basketball. Adam Rittenberg went to Northwestern, covered.
Well, don't lead him off like that.
I know.
I'm just kidding.
Covered the Big Ten forever, and then took over a national role with ESPN, but he's always stuck with us. And that's what we love about him. And guess what? Illinois is relevant now nationally. I mean, this isn't just us saying, hey, can you come talk Illinois and some other
Can you
football?
pretend like you care about Illinois football for just 10 to 15 minutes? Or maybe just 2 questions, then we'll ask you about the rest of the Big Ten.
We'll go the rest of we'll talk about LSU and Alabama. No, we actually get to talk about a relevant national team in Illinois, and we'll do that with Adam Rittenberg. We'll do it next. Stick around for that. It is The Drive.
Well, good, everyone. Let's check weather for Eastern Illinois, Champaign-Urbana this Saturday, and that cold air continues to build across the area. The season's coldest expected to materialize later on tonight and tomorrow, with temperatures into the middle and upper 20s across the board. And yeah, those were a few snowflakes you saw yesterday evening across parts of the area. We'll move right back in the other direction, turn those jet stream winds in from the south and southwest, low-level winds from the south, and it is a prescribed warm-up just in the nick of time here for Friday and into the weekend and the better part of next week as well. Try to get it done while you may, with a wetter weather pattern showing up next week as well. In the meantime, partly to mostly sunny, windy and seasonably cold weather for the day-to-day. Temperatures 20 shy of normal at 45. Hard freeze tonight will bottom out at 26, diminishing northwest wind. Tomorrow, sunny, chilly, the high to about 48, but will moderate close to 60 with a partly sunny Thursday, 67 Friday, into the low to mid-70s for the weekend. For Stevie J Broadcasting, I'm meteorologist Greg Solgay.
Flowers equals smiles equals happiness. Think love with flowers. The Blossom Basket florist can put a smile on everyone's face with a beautiful spring floral creation. Let their flowers make you a hero. Flowers are always affordable for all occasions, from simple to simply magnificent. Visit them online at blossombasket.com or come into their store at 1002 North Cunningham Avenue in Urbana.
The Blossom Basket florist, the florist you pick.
Hey Illini fans, it's your girl Chineo Gumike. Catch Lante and Derek Piper weekdays from 4 to 6 right here on ESPN Radio 93.5.
What would life be without friends? You know, Cliff in Urbana says Lon's voice sounds as bad as the Arizona Cardinals are at football, especially scoring touchdowns. And on cue, they're going to play Thursday night against the New Orleans Saints. What they ought to do is flip things around, because the Denver Broncos are used to playing on national TV every week and used to not scoring touchdowns. What they should do is take the Denver-Arizona game later in the season and just make that Thursday night's game, guaranteeing you would not have a touchdown and you would have another putrid Thursday night game that I won't watch because I'm too old to stream. And not only am I too old to stream, but I'm just, doggone it, not going to do it. Derek Piper.
What we need is your team to step up and give America what it needs. And it's some touchdowns in a primetime football game.
Maybe Kyler will go off. I mean, we got Robbie Anderson, who just went off. I mean, in a bad way, and basically got escorted from the field. DeAndre Hopkins is back.
Yeah, he is.
Marquise, of course, Hollywood Brown gone now. I mean, that's just the season the Cardinals are having. But yeah, maybe the Cardinals will go off on the Saints. I bet Michael Thomas plays and he goes off. Yeah, right. All right, you and I led into the break saying with Adam Rittenberg, this guy has been so nice through the years. He comes on and joins us, and not only that, it's just one of those deals where now he covers the national scope, and we're always like, well, we'll sneak an Illinois question in late. You know, just so like, let's talk about all the stuff that's happening in college football around the country, and then we'll sneak in a quick Illinois. Well, you know what, Adam Rittenberg, Illinois is a national story now, my man. How are you, buddy?
I'm doing great, guys, and they are. It's exciting to see him. No, it's really exciting for you guys, but really, for all Illini fans, it's been a long time coming since they were a team that was relevant both in the Big Ten and nationally. So it just really speaks to what Brett has done there. Hired a great staff. I knew that at the time. I did not think they'd be in this position so quickly, but credit to all those players and coaches. And it's certainly an exciting couple of weeks now to enjoy the open week before. Again, the Big Ten season is there, and
sure.
I think there's really great opportunities here the rest of the way for the Illini.
You've covered so many teams, Adam, and written so many stories about, there's always a team like this that kind of comes on to the national scene, let's say, every year. But it is kind of alarming, and you mentioned it, just how quickly this was. I mean, you lost a lot of super seniors last year, but you look at this team. We have Jay Lehman come in every Monday. He thinks there's 5, maybe even 6 NFL guys on this defense. It's amazing just I don't want to say overnight, but just like that, the talent level on this team and the way they're coached has really shown up for this squad.
It has, and I know that there's a number of these guys who, at this point, have positioned themselves for all Big Ten, midseason All-America type stuff. I was going over our team that'll come out a little bit later this week with one of my colleagues today. Which Illinois player do we put on there? There's certainly several guys with a strong case, and it's really a sign of a defense that isn't overly reliant on one player. You just look at the numbers, and so many guys have multiple tackles for loss. So many guys, 4 or 5 guys have at least 3.5 sacks. So it's a unit that has found different ways to contribute, different contributors to shut down offenses all season long. Now, they haven't played the best collection of offenses. I think we'd all agree to that.
Sure.
But they're getting it done every week, and that's hard to do. Usually you have an off week, you have some breakdown. Your teams figure you out a little bit, and that hasn't happened to this point in the season. And it's really exciting to think about what could lie ahead for this Illini team.
Adam, from a national scope, how hot of a commodity do you think Ryan Walters will be after the season based on
supposed to ask that.
What he's done?
Yeah. Certainly, with the Colorado job open, it's a very relevant question because he played there. Beyond Colorado, I don't know if there's necessarily a job that would fit Ryan and that he would want. But you just don't know what else is going to open, depending on other movement. I think we're at a point, kind of at a standstill in the carousel right now. Everyone's sort of waiting for Auburn, but there's not a lot of obvious jobs that are going to open that are kind of at that level. And so, if Colorado goes with somebody else, and there's not a whole lot of a domino effect in terms of coaches moving from one Power 5 to another, I think there's a really good chance Ryan is back at Illinois next year. He really likes working there. He really loves working alongside Brett Bielema. I think he wouldn't say this, but I think it was probably a tough situation there at the end at Missouri. Maybe not a great match with Eli Drinkwitz, another young head coach. But I think coming to Illinois with a veteran head coach who has a background on defense, has worked under Bill Belichick, has worked under a lot of great coaches in his career. Barry Alvarez has been really beneficial for Ryan in his development. And he's only 36 years old. There's no rush. He's making a lot of money. He's doing really well. And so I think he can be choosy in the future. I think that's why it was really important. Illinois was proactive with his contract last year. He feels valued, and he knows he's developing as a young coach. Whether that leads to a head coaching job this year or next year or the following year, we'll see. But it's been obviously a great success story for the Illini.
Lon didn't like me asking the question. I think he liked the answer.
I've been smiling ever since.
Him and a lot of Illini fans out there. A guy that I'm not sure will be back, though, Chase Brown, who's put himself on the outside of the Heisman contention. Will he actually win it? Probably not, but it'd be cool to see him at least in New York in December, and he has that chance with the stats he's putting up. Adam, what have you made of Chase Brown's season so far, and what would he need to do to get in the building there in New York in December?
Yeah, he's had a tremendous season. He was really good last year, as you guys know as well, and it's sort of built on that with his performance and the consistency that he's played with. He's in such great condition, and he's a guy that can absorb, 25, 30, 35 carries if need be, and that's certainly valuable. I think he's going to need to put up a huge number against Michigan, most likely, to really pop and get on the Heisman radar. There's just so many quarterbacks, as you guys know, between Hendon Hooker now, who might be the favorite coming off of the win against Alabama, Bryce Young, obviously the returning Heisman winners in that mix, C.J. Stroud. We haven't seen him for a couple of weeks at Ohio State, and there's other players who have really good numbers. And then at the running back position, he's probably being overshadowed a little bit in the Big Ten by Blake Corum at Michigan. I was just up there with the Wolverines, and Blake's obviously had a tremendous season. He's been on the national broadcast with Fox a few times, so that helped. So if Chase were to go into Michigan Stadium and outplay Blake Corum, probably before a big audience, that would help his chances, especially because that would maybe mean Illinois is going to the Big Ten championship game, right. and I think that game, whether it's against Michigan, whether it's against Ohio State, is another opportunity for Chase Brown. I mean, unfortunately, with the schedule that Illinois has, I don't know how many people are going to pay attention to the Nebraska game. Maybe a few more will pay attention to the Purdue game.
That's fair.
If that's the division on the line. But Blake Corum is at Michigan, A, and he also has more exposure, B. And then you got Bijan Robinson down at Texas, who has those similar things working in his favor. So that's probably the reality for Chase. But if he continues to put up big numbers, it'll be impossible to leave him off that stage in New York.
Adam is one of the best in the business. Follow him on Twitter at ESPN Rittenberg. Adam, a lot of Illini fans dreaming about what that could look like in Ann Arbor in November if Illinois is a one-loss team and Michigan continues on their trajectory. But for Illinois to get there, their next few, they're at Nebraska, they got Michigan State at home and Purdue at home. What do you make of that upcoming stretch, and maybe who would be – I mean, Purdue's the team that a lot of people are seeing as the biggest challenger in the West, but what do you think of this next stretch for Illinois?
Yeah, I think it sets up really well, right? I mean, they're going to get Michigan State a week after the Michigan game, which is going to be emotional for them. Game at night, a physical game. I mean, Michigan just pounded Penn State into submission at the game last week that I was covering. So that I think that works out well. Now, Nebraska's dangerous. Nebraska's playing a lot better football than they were earlier in the season. I think Mickey Joseph's done a nice job as the interim coach. They've got a dangerous offense, maybe a better passing offense than Illinois has faced so far this season. I think they do, absolutely. Just the combination of Casey Thompson and Trey Palmer is unlike anything Illinois has seen to date. So that's going to be a nice test for that defense coming off of the open week. But I like when they get Michigan State. And then Purdue, we'll see. Purdue's a team that they have the best quarterback in the West Division. They have an outstanding receiver in Charlie Jones. They can put up points. But, I like the coaching edge with Brett in that game because Brett's a guy that isn't going to beat himself. And I love Jeff Brom. I think he's a really creative and fun guy to watch coach his teams. But he also sabotages himself at times with his aggressiveness and his unwillingness to run the ball and do some of the things some of the other Big Ten coaches do. And so if that's a close game, and I think it will be, especially at home, I give the edge to Brett Bielema in that game just because of his experience in those types of games in this conference.
Couple more for Adam. Let's talk about Michigan and Ohio State in the East. Michigan and Penn State, that was one of those where Michigan's had a little bit of a soft schedule, but Penn State, obviously a pretty solid team that Michigan took care of pretty easily. And then you've got Ohio State, which appears to be even at another level than Michigan. Do you think Ohio State is at another level, or do you think Michigan, who beat them last year, could still handle the Buckeyes?
They absolutely can, and I think this is what we have to start changing our conversation. Ohio State's incredibly talented. There's no doubt about it. They're better on defense, and their offense probably is the most complete in the country, or maybe number 2 behind Tennessee. I mean, those are 1 and 1A. Michigan is better on the offensive line. I was there the last couple of days. They are absolutely better on the offensive line. That was a group that won a national award for offensive line play last year. The combination of Blake and Donovan Edwards is maybe better than it was last year with Blake and Hassan Haskins. It's possible. And then you have an obvious upgraded quarterback. I know it hasn't shown up, completely yet, but by the end of the year, I think J.J. McCarthy is going to be a better player. And I think he's already, shown some things that give him, obviously gave him the edge over Cade McNamara to win that job. Defensively, yes, they don't have essentially 3 first-round draft picks. David Ojabo would have been a first-round pick if he didn't bust his Achilles at Pro Day. So they had 3 first-round draft picks off of that defense last year. They are not that talented individually, but as a group, they have not dropped off a whole lot. They absolutely beat up Penn State at the line of scrimmage. They have some talent in the back end, and they're good enough at linebacker. So I think we have to look at Michigan like we do most defending Big Ten champions, is they have a chance to defend that title. Nice. I think that was something that didn't really sink in, I think, until the game against Penn State. Now, young quarterback, injuries can happen, but I really do like Michigan's chances the rest of the way if they can stay healthy and keep developing.
All right, you're lucky that the voice is hoarse, or else I'd be singing Rocky Top right now. I mean, let's go. One of my best friends' sons was in the student section for that game at Neyland Stadium. The volunteers get it done. They take the goalpost, throw it in the river. How cool of a scene was that, Adam Rittenberg? Were you there?
No. I was up in Michigan. So I was at the one good game that was a blowout. I was watching that one, and it was amazing. And you just know, I was actually at Tennessee before the season. I did a little tour of their stadium and talked to coaches and administrators there. And it's just one of these places, we were talking about it, that even though they've been bad for a long time, their fans have not kind of abandoned them. They're still extremely passionate, sometimes to a fault, and you just knew that once they had a reason to celebrate, it was going to be incredible. And that was obviously one of the great celebrations we've seen in college football in the last few years, just the sheer number of people that were involved in the goalposts and everything. And it's just remarkable that when you get a coach in there who has a system that right now no one can stop, and that's what's going on with Josh Heupel's offense, it's pretty darn exciting. By the way, Alex Golesh, former Illinois assistant coach, is their play caller. So that's the name that Illini fans should keep in mind, just for however things evolve in the next few years. But it's been amazing to watch. They certainly thought they would be very good on offense. Again, I don't know if they expected to be this good. Meaning a playoff contender that takes down Alabama just in their second season. So just a fun story. Yes. And for those of us who certainly remember Tennessee in the 90s, It's not a new story, but it feels new because it's been so long.
Without a doubt. All right, I thought of one more. Wisconsin, of course, they fire Paul Christ, Jim Leonard. Piper and I love that dude. He's the interim. Do you see him landing that job and keeping it?
It's really on him. I was talking to somebody who's fairly close to that program last night, and they said, they want Jimmy to get the job. Now he's got to go out and deliver. They obviously played well against Northwestern, but they fell last week to Michigan State in a game that they could have won. So where do they go from here? They still have Iowa on the schedule. They still have Minnesota. Those are rivalry games. It'd be hard for me to see Jimmy getting the job if they lose to Iowa and Minnesota. So I think he's got to win at least one of those. He's got to at least get to a bowl game. So it's not like he has to be dominant the rest of the way. But again, given their record, he's got to start winning games immediately. It's an important point in the season for them. Their schedule the rest of the way is not that easy, but it's also not impossible. There's no Ohio State left on the schedule. There's no Michigan left on the schedule, I believe. So it's certainly achievable for Wisconsin, but Jim's got to get it done. And certainly the way that game ended on Saturday, it didn't work in his favor.
Well, and if they want to turn it around and beat Purdue this Saturday, I'm fine with that. There's no doubt. All right, Adam Rittenberg at ESPN Rittenberg. Always enjoy the time. I'm proud to say that this time we had you on and we got to talk some Illinois national relevancy. It's pretty cool with not only Chase, but also a lot of other storylines going on at Illinois. Adam, keep up the great work, my friend.
All right, guys. Appreciate you. Thanks for having me on.
Okay, buddy. That is Adam Rittenberg. He is amazing at what he does. If you follow him on Twitter, I think his pinned tweet, and again, it's at ESPN Rittenberg, is kind of the backstory on how UCLA and USC kind of all of a sudden it was announced that, hey, they're coming to the Big Ten. It's a really good read. It's a long read, but those are one of those that you really kind of enjoy doing, sit down and relax and get a good read in. So definitely take that story in that Adam Rittenberg had written.
I'm glad you brought up those teams.
Okay.
Because my buddy was throwing around, what are the chances game day would be at Illinois, Michigan, and Ann Arbor down the road in November if Illinois doesn't lose again?
I think
and Michigan's undefeated. The one of the marquee games, probably the biggest competitor right now in terms of where game day is going to go. Number 12 right now, as they are right now, 12 USC at number 9 UCLA.
Oh, boy.
Could be an option. And you would think game day probably goes to Ohio State, Michigan the following week. So they might be saying, do we want to do 2 Michigan games in a row? But come on, Illinois, Michigan would be a really cool moment if game day was like, yeah, we want to go to that game.
That would be awesome. Game day's never been here, right? What is it? What's the stat? Like one of only 7 schools that have never had game day appear at their location, and Champaign's one of them. I think that is correct. And so how about they come for I can tell you how.
I know. I just would think there'd be more than 6 or 7.
I'm kidding. No, right. That's what I said.
Well, obviously Power 5.
Maybe Power 5. Yeah,
but
right.
Still.
Right.
But
was it? A couple of years ago, they went to like South Dakota State, which was pretty cool. But yeah, I mean, I can't remember exactly what the stat is, but how about a Champaign against Purdue? Then they don't have to worry about going to Michigan. They can go out to UCLA. Then they can get Michigan when they play against Ohio State.
For that to happen, you'll need Purdue to beat Wisconsin.
Yes, you will. Now, you pulled up the Purdue schedule. This is getting real. Like, this is getting real to the point where we're scoreboard watching.
Not only that, we got asked in the text line yesterday to not say boiler up anymore.
Oh, I saw that.
That's how real it is.
Marcus wanted us to say boiler down. I'm okay with that till we play them. Are you okay with that? I mean, that's kind of your signature now.
Yeah. I'm good with it.
Okay. Then do we
It's going to happen at some point because then we'll get into Big Ten basketball season. We already know.
How about this?
Purdue's a pretty relevant team.
How about every time a train rolls through, we say Boilers suck? I don't mind that. Boilers stink. I'll let you.
We'll come up with something.
Okay. We'll not choo-choo.
No, probably not. You do the train roll on.
There's 2 things that have happened to me in life that have scared the living you-know-what out of you. Minus being at like a haunted house or doing that Tower of Terror, one of those things like at a convenience store. Hello. At an amusement park.
Yep.
I was at Purdue the first time I ever covered a game for WA&D at Purdue. I'm sorry, not the first time I ever covered a game for WA&D. First time I ever covered a game at Purdue when I was working at WA&D. I was down on the field. I didn't realize they were going to do the train horn at about the same time I was walking in close proximity with the train horn.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just like, I jumped 10 feet. I'm like, really, dude? And I looked back, and I just know the guy was loving every second of that he scared the hell out of me. The other one was at a Western Illinois SIU football game. The Leathernecks have some kind of it's almost like a storm warning thing that goes off, but it doesn't start off like and get louder. I mean, it starts off loud. And same thing. I was walking right by it, and boom, they hit it. And I'm like, really, dude? So I think it's that I was wearing maybe Illinois colors in Purdue and maybe SIU colors at Western Illinois. I probably deserved it. That's how bad they scared me that I still remember that. Like, vividly, I remember that. All right, so Purdue goes to – go.
On the note of the schedule.
Yes.
Purdue at Wisconsin this week.
I mean, there's no reason why Wisconsin can't win that game at Wisconsin.
They're favored to win.
Are they really? Now, did they lose that game at Michigan State?
Yes.
Okay. And
Pretty bad loss.
I'm sure it is. I'm sure I take way too much into who's hosting a game, but it does matter. And playing at Wisconsin, I know Illinois went up and showed that it wasn't much of a factor, but okay, so Purdue at Wisconsin.
If Wisconsin can lose at home to Washington State and Illinois, now we know a lot more about Illinois now than we did then.
Right.
Still, they could lose to Purdue. Although Purdue probably defensively not built to slow down that rushing attack, obviously, like Illinois.
Is there a chance that Illinois is just heads and tails above anybody else in the West, and the rest of the teams are all kind of in the same?
There's a chance, but I agree with Adam in terms of the quality of offense that Illinois has played is not up to what you're going to see in Purdue.
True,
especially if you get throwing conditions. Now, Jay, wishing for some snow here in November. We got some snow flurries last night.
We did.
So maybe that's an early indication of that's being a possibility. But Aiden O'Connell can definitely throw the ball around, and Charlie Jones is one of the best receivers in the Big Ten.
Illinois has the number one pass efficiency in the country, right?
They got number one a lot on defense in the country.
Just pick a stat, and they got it. I mean, I'm anxious for that matchup. I mean, I understand you can't look past Nebraska. You can't look past Michigan State. But, man, am I anxious for this Aiden O'Connell to throw the ball around and see what this secondary does. Today, I know Adam Rittenberg mentioned the midseason All-American teams. Illinois released an email today about 5 Illini named midseason All-Americans. You can guess that Chase Brown would obviously be on that list. So he's an AP midseason All-American, Sporting News midseason All-American, and others. Gabe Akis is a midseason freshman All-American on a couple of teams. And then you've got Quan Martin. You've got Devin Witherspoon, both made a midseason All-American team. There's like 5 different, like the Sporting
publications.
News. Yeah, exactly. Thank you. So if you just make one of those, then you're considered a midseason All-American. So you got 2 of your 4 secondary, and we know the other is Sidney. Well, one of the others is Sidney Brown, who we know can do some damage.
And then I think Kendall Smith leads the Big Ten in interceptions.
Right. And then the 5th guy on that, by the way, before we get back to secondary, is Johnny Newton, who you
better have him on there.
You definitely better. So 5 Illini players made midseason All-American teams, publications. And like you guys just talked about, Kendall Smith, who you said yesterday has kind of served that Kirby Joseph role of just ball hawking and going out there and catching things. That interception he had this last week against Minnesota was really impressive.
It's incredible.
I mean, that was impressive. I don't know how he caught the ball.
I don't either. I know that the defensive line who put a lick on Tanner Morgan on that throw deserves credit, but that wasn't a bad ball. I know it hung up there a little bit, but if Smith doesn't cover an insane amount of ground and get over there and pull that in with the ball like on the edge of his fingertips,
yes,
that's probably like a 40-yard catch for Minnesota.
It's amazing. And when you've got on the corner, you've got Quan and Weatherspoon out there, and then
I said it yesterday. Witherspoon throwing at him.
He said Wither. I always say Weather. I'm sorry.
He's had 43 passes his way, and there's only been 13 completions.
Wow. And listen, that Aiden O'Connell will throw the ball around.
He will.
I mean, he throws for 300 yards a game. He's going to throw it around. How hard is it for you to check his stats against Illinois the last 2 years?
I could get it.
Let's take a quick break because I want to look at that. Because it seems like in my mind, I could be wrong, it seems like in my mind he had a really good game against you and then he had a game that wasn't that good. So we'll digest and look into that. If you want to weigh in, 359-2255. I have no voice, but I push on. It is the drive.
Long's Garage in Urbana and Jasper Engines and Transmissions offer cost-effective solutions to your present engine or transmissions trouble. Avoid a costly new car purchase or high lease payments by putting new life into your present vehicle. Let Long's Garage install a Jasper remanufactured engine or transmission with a 3-year, 100,000-mile nationwide warranty and available premium service plan. Call Long's Garage at 367-3942. Long's Garage, 217-367-3942.
Here's what new customers are saying about Interstate Batteries.
It's nice to see capable and helpful associates. They did a top-notch job.
They were easy to talk to and explained everything.
Service was prompt and I was a walk-in. Total service time was only 20 minutes. I highly recommend Interstate Batteries.
Interstate Batteries. Outrageously dependable. How much is dependable worth? Experience them for the first time at 2504 North Mattis. Way out there, but worth the drive. Interstate Batteries. Outrageously dependable.
Visit InterstateBatteries.com.
It's time to visit Prairie Gardens, your one-stop fall shop. Greenhouses are filled with mums, cabbage and kale, fresh pumpkins and more. And inside, a fall wonderland awaits. Handmade wreaths for the door, fall candles and scents, unique home decor at prices you'll love. Save half off all silk stems, bushes, and garlands. Plus, all Halloween decor is on sale. Take an additional 25% off at Prairie Gardens. Locally owned since 1964.
Every moment. Hawkins picked it off. Thought about a three. Drives down the lane. And he slams it in. Every play. Hawkins to Melendez. Every celebration. And the Big Ten championship is in Champaign. Illinois basketball season tickets are available now. Be in State Farm Center for every home game this season for as low as $250. Get your tickets today at FightingIllini.com.
Thinking of selling your home? Today's market is crazy, but one way you can be sure to stand out is by replacing your old flooring with new hardwood. And the best place to do it is Carpet Weavers in Champaign. Carpet Weavers boast the industry's best brands, including Shaw, Mohawk, Paramount, and more. When it comes to natural beauty and a rich quality, nothing beats new flooring from Carpet Weavers. And they have financing options for your budget, so you can always afford the floor you truly want. Increase the value of your home by installing new, high-quality options from Carpet Weavers. Find out more online at carpetweaversflooring.com.
Like most banks, we offer an app that lets you do pretty much everything you need from your pocket. But at Iroquois Federal, we believe great banking is less about the app you tap and more about what you tap into. And for us, that's a hometown bank where decisions are made locally by the same folks you'll bump into on the bleachers at the next big game, providing the hometown touch that's made us part of the community for nearly 140 years. Iroquois Federal. Still friendly, still local, still here. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Hey, Illini fans, it's Max Kellerman. Catch Lon Tay and Derek Piper weekdays from 4 to 6 right here on ESPN Radio 93.5.
All right, it is the drive. ESPN Radio 93.5. Lonte, Derek Piper, talking Purdue, talking Aiden O'Connell, talking the what'd you call it? The over that I went to?
Monsoon.
The monsoon game.
Yeah. 2019.
2019 was when that happened. That's right. All right, so I said to you, I was thinking that O'Connell had a really good game against Illinois and then a bad one. He actually didn't have a horrible one. Now, we're not counting the monsoon game. Nobody had a good game.
Yeah, last year wasn't that good, though, because he ended up getting pulled in that game.
Wow.
They split reps between him and Jack Plummer. So last year he was 12 for 19, 182 yards, a touchdown, and 2 interceptions. Plummer actually came in and threw 21 passes, and Purdue won a low-scoring game. What was that final? 13-9.
Okay, Kyle,
in West Lafayette.
Okay.
Unfortunately, Brandon Peters threw it 26 times for 100 yards.
Isn't it amazing what a good quarterback does for you?
Yes.
Sorry, Brandon, I don't mean that. I mean, he was decent.
I mean, it's honest.
A better than good quarterback. And then O'Connell, though, the year before, slung it around, right?
So in 2020, Purdue came to Illinois. I think was that a Karan Taylor start?
Oh, that's right.
For Illinois, but
everybody slung it around Illinois that year.
Purdue lit up that Illinois Lovie Smith defense. He threw it 35 times for 371 and 2 touchdowns.
Will that go down as one of the most memorable or miserable Illinois football seasons ever? Do you remember how it started? You remember thinking?
You forget?
You remember thinking like this Illinois team could be pretty good. And I remember Lucas and his roommate both wanted to wager on Illinois. They're like, should we? Because Illinois was like a 13-point dog or a 10-point dog to Wisconsin. I'm like, oh, they'll stay within 10. And then Mertz goes, 20 for 21 with like 5 touchdowns. He like Joe Montana's you.
Yep.
And they blow you out. And then like I'm watching Karan Taylor run all over the field and against Purdue in a game that you lose because your defense was horrendous. Yuck.
It was brutal. I remember vividly, we were talking throughout the week, me, you, and Trevor, about someone's got to drive over to Indiana to bet this spread. Like, there's no way in heck that Vegas is right with this spread. And they were very right, and it smacked you in the face how quick Wisconsin's up like 2 scores.
Yes, just like that.
And it just continued to build after that.
Oh, my goodness. I was in a garage in St. Joe of a gentleman who you know through tailgates who is a Wisconsin fan. And he and I always go back and forth because, you know, the Badgers in Illinois, they've been kind of right there in basketball and obviously not in football. But I got there that day and I'm like, Kevin, this is it. We are going to compete with you. And then it just got to the point where he was avoiding me because just looking at him made me mad. Like, to his credit, he wasn't even talking crap to me. He was just like, all right, Lon is really mad. I've never seen him this mad. I mean, I was just like, I had to leave. I looked at Andrew. I'm like, I've got to go or I'm going to make it.
Man.
It's one of the maddest I've ever been, I think. Because I really thought that team could be good. I don't know.
That season did give us
what did it give us?
The at Rutgers start for Isaiah Williams where he ran for like 150 or whatever, and I went to your at-home tailgate then.
That's right.
Here in Philo.
That's right.
That was a good time.
That was when I was trying to clean dishes at midnight, and everybody was watching me going, what? You would clean one, and then you'd put it back in the dirty. And I'm like, well, it was a long day.
Yeah. And even when things were going wrong, Illinois still managed to beat Nebraska that year.
Oh, that's right.
So hopefully does not flip when things are going right for Illinois this year.
I hope that is the case. All right. Well, and by the way, you pulled up Purdue's schedule.
I did.
I forgot to look through it. So they're at Wisconsin this week.
At Wisconsin this week. Then they host Iowa.
Okay.
And they play at Illinois after that.
So that is not an easy stretch.
It's not.
To get to Illinois.
Now, how we think about Wisconsin and Iowa
has
changed a lot in the last few weeks.
Although you barely beat Iowa, right? That defense.
Correct. That defense could still cause problems for Purdue because, especially knowing that they are pretty good at turning you over, interceptions, that will be a challenge for Purdue, certainly.
And I don't think Purdue's defense is good enough to where they're going, like Petrus won't keep Iowa in the game, right? Maybe I'm wrong.
It is still Petrus.
I'm with you with regards to Braylon Allen. I think he'll run for some yards.
He will.
Against the Boilermakers. So, look, because Purdue has lost once in the Big Ten. Illinois has lost once.
Yep.
Illinois still has to play Michigan. I'm not saying you can't beat Michigan, but let's look at the history of this program and the history of those two teams. The history tells you. Everything tells you you're not beating Michigan. So that's 2 losses right there. Now, if Purdue could somehow have a second loss going into that Illinois game, the point is, though, you still are worried about the tiebreaker to get to Indianapolis.
Yeah, and if you're, which you probably should be, rooting against Purdue at this point, just in case, well, it will probably come down to that game in Champaign, but things could break a certain way where even the team that loses that game, if the other drops one or two here along the way, it could work to that other team advances. But Purdue, before the Illinois game, it's fairly tough. Afterwards, they have Northwestern going to West Lafayette, and they finish at Indiana. So, favorable, very finish of their schedule, while this next 3 games is relatively tough.
Kyle, you mentioned it about Indiana. Do you remember what you said?
Well, I was just thinking hypothetical. I get Michigan.
There's a lot of time. Yeah, there's a lot of things to play.
But just imagine a world where Illinois does beat Michigan 11-1. Indiana's holding you back from a 12-0 season and a chance at the freaking college football playoff of all things.
Now, 1983, when Illinois went to the Rose Bowl, I think they lost their first game of that year to Missouri. And it wasn't a very good Missouri team. And it was like, I can still remember people throughout that season saying, did we lose to Missouri? That's kind of how we are with Indiana. I wonder if Illinois and Indiana played again. Are we giving Illinois too much credit? You know what I'm saying? Like, am I getting a little too cocky now? Yeah.
I was just going to say one thing that has come to mind in relation to that Indiana game, as you think about the challenges coming up, like Nebraska that put up some points on Purdue, not a very good Purdue defense, but their offense will provide a challenge. And then even Purdue, where some might say Illinois' defense is so lights out, they won't even get, it won't even be too much of a task. But Connor Bazelak did throw for 330 against you. Now, it was a lot of attempts. It was like darn near, it might even be 50 attempts, but they were able to make some hay in the passing game. Again, Illinois' defense has been as good as advertised. Their pass defense is legit, but I don't know. I think that there's still, you got to give a little bit of credence to what Rittenberg said, in that they need to get tested more in terms of playing better offenses, but at the same time, this is a pretty good Illinois team too.
Kyle will podcast after the first hour so that you can hear Adam Rittenberg, national writer for ESPN. You definitely want to go back. And, in fact, what I'd like to do in next hour is I would like to play his quote again from what you asked him about Ryan Walters. In fact, it might be worth just replaying that interview again, to be honest with you, because I just thought it was a really good one. But especially the stuff about Ryan Walters, you definitely want to get on that podcast and hear that, because it's good stuff. So, all right, next hour we are going to rip around the NFL with Kyle. You got the games ready, I guess, the recaps?
I'll get them ready.
I guess in your recaps, is there any way of having the Bears and Cardinals both win?
Well,
don't bother. Don't waste your time, Kyle.
There's
some bad football going on in the NFL.
It's horrible.
By the way,
it's horrible.
Last night's product was pretty terrible.
Throw the Dolphins in there. If we can change all 3 of them, I'm down for it.
I've said this before. Not often am I right on something, but like when we were going through the games the last 2 weeks, I'm like, I don't even care. It's boring. That's what NFL has become. When did that happen?
It's new to this year. I know that they posted. If you look,
it was great last year, right?
And I know that sometimes we associate great with scoring,
with your teams and scoring,
and with your teams too. So you got to give some credit to defenses. There can still be good football and not be the highest of scoring affairs, but touchdowns are significantly down. And someone tweeted that like fantasy scoring is down like 20% as compared to where it's been in recent seasons.
Well, I've had 2 teams rack up 300+ points against me. So fantasy scoring is down except against Lon.
Of course. It always feels that way, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. Well, no, it doesn't just feel that way.
It actually is that way.
But, no, I didn't know that. So scoring is down 20% in fantasy.
Said. Yeah.
Wonder why touchdowns are down. Is it defense?
I think it is more about the offenses.
Okay.
And we'll go through, as we rip through, we'll highlight each situation, but in particular in the NFC, the teams that played in the playoffs last year, the Bucks, the Rams, the Cardinals, the Packers, all of those offenses teams in general have some real issues.
Okay. Well, we'll look at that. So we'll do that with Kyle. He'll whip through that. And then I'll let you hear that quote again from Adam Rittenberg when it comes to his thoughts on Ryan Walters. It's something you might want to hear. In other words, you're not going to maybe be mad at us for asking the question, because I was mad at you for asking that. I'm like, don't you bring that up.
I'm glad I did.
I am glad you did.
Because Adam's going to know some stuff of what's being said around the national scene and behind the scenes. So the fact that he gave an answer that will encourage Illini fans in the case that Ryan, if he were to not get the job in Colorado, maybe that means he is going to stay.
And then Dane Danger had a chance. Jeremy Werner had a chance to talk to him, and we may play some of that or all of that. It's about 5 minutes before we get out here today. So, all right, Yankees and Guardians, they are in Game 5. It is a do-or-die game. It is the 5th inning. Anthony Rizzo is up, and the Yankees lead the game 4-1. The winner plays Houston in the ALCS. The NLCS begins tonight. The Padres hosting the Philadelphia Phillies. We are back. It is the Drive.
Hey, where are you headed?
To Kelsey Furniture in Tuscola.
What do they have there?
What don't they have there? Living room furniture, benches, chests, love seats, sectionals, tables, bedroom sets, hutches, nightstands, end tables, cabinets, mirrors, stools, clocks, lamps, pillows, rugs, desks, media consoles, patio furniture, Tempur-Pedic mattresses, and more.
So, everything.
Yeah, probably could have just said that.
Kelsey Furniture, quality for less.
What do you mean, I get the whole store?
I'm Dennis Reekin, chairman of Dick Van Dyke Appliance World. And when we promise you the whole store, we mean all we do is appliances. We offer a showroom full of the top appliance brands, complete with our free 10-year protection plan.
Who does your warranty work? Some outfit with a 1-800 number?
No way. Our service and installation technicians are employed and factory trained by us. And our protection plan means you pay nothing for covered repairs.
So, I get a free 10-year protection plan, a guaranteed best deal, a hometown service department, and a showroom full of name brand appliances? Wow!
Hey, lady, that's my line. All we do is appliances, and we do them better than anyone else. Wow!
Big Bad Dyke Appliance World. When you buy from us, you get the whole store.
Join in on all the fun happening in downtown Champaign for the Champaign Center Parade of Lights presented by Christie Clinic on Saturday, November 26th. This year's theme is the Island of Misfit Toys, and we need your help to bring the magic this year. Like Rudolph, won't you guide your friends and coworkers to build a festive float to fit the theme? Visit ChampaignCenter.com for all the details. Early bird float registration ends October 31st. We can't wait to see you in the Parade of Lights.
The Disability Resource Expo is coming to Marketplace Mall from 10 till 5 on Saturday, October 22nd. Stevie J Broadcasting reminds you to experience this terrific event to help empower people in our community, with so many organizations helping you to reach out for answers. Get details on being a vendor, sponsor, volunteer, or simply find out the exhibitors you'd like to visit at Marketplace Mall on October 22nd by going online to disabilityresourceexpo.org.
One of country music's most exciting and iconic live entertainers is headed to Champaign with his full band. Travis Tritt, live at the Virginia Theater Friday, December 9th. Tickets on sale now for Travis Tritt, Friday, December 9th. An evening with Travis Tritt. Tickets and details at thevirginia.org. See you there.
Well, here's a quarter. Call someone who cares.
There is one name you need to know in car repair in the central Illinois area, and that's John Marshall. John is the owner of PDR Automotive in Urbana and makes it his mission to know that your car will start when you come to pick it up. John strives for a repair in the most efficient time possible and is the right person to take care of your car. From tires to engine to electrical to the simple oil change. Trust in John at PDR. 1008 North Cunningham in Urbana. John's team will take care of you like family.
Illinois football is back. Shop at Game Day Spirit this fall and gear up to support your Fighting Illini football team. With great football designs and brand new apparel from top brands, they're the one-stop shop to get everything you need this football season. Shop with them at the corner of Neal and Kirby in Champaign, 6th and Green in Campustown, and online 24/7 at GameDaySpirit.com. Game Day Spirit, where Illini fans shop.
You're listening to WSJK ESPN 93.5 Tuscola, Champaign-Urbana, your home for the St. Louis Cardinals.
Guilty. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. And a major source of the so-called Steele dossier used as part of the Russia investigation is cleared.
A federal jury acquitted Igor Danchenko on all counts related to his role in the creation of a discredited dossier about former President Trump. The case was the latest brought by special counsel John Durham, who is investigating the origins of the FBI's probe of allegations of collusion between the Trump campaign and Russia. Danchenko was a think tank analyst who was responsible for providing much of the raw intelligence. At trial, he said he was surprised how it was presented in the dossier. Prosecutors charged Danchenko with lying about his sources. 2 other cases stemming from the special counsel's work resulted in an acquittal and a guilty plea with a sentence of probation.
Fox's Jared Halpern. In a statement, John Durham said, while we are disappointed in the outcome, we respect the jury's decision and thank them for their service. The last man seen with college student Kristen Smart in 1996 has been convicted of her murder. Jurors unanimously found Paul Flores guilty of first-degree murder. His father, Ruben Flores, who had been charged as an accessory after prosecutors say he helped conceal the crime, has been found not guilty. Smart disappeared from California Polytechnic University over Memorial Day weekend 1996. Her remains have never been found. San Joaquin County, California prosecutors have charged Wesley Brownlee with killing 3 men that police say were among the victims of a serial killer.
Investigators say ballistics tests and surveillance video links him to 6 fatal shootings, mostly Latino men. 5 shot dead in Stockton, 1 in Oakland, and he's believed to be linked to another Stockton shooting where a woman survived. All of the shootings spanning from April of 2021 to September of this year.
Fox's Kristen Goodwin. America is listening to Fox News.
You know that Big Bargain detergent jug is 85% water, right?
85% water? I thought I was getting a better deal because it's so big.
If you want a better clean, Tide Pods are only 12% water. The rest is pure concentrated cleaning ingredients.
Ooh, pass me the intercom thingy.
Attention shoppers, if you want a real deal, try Tide Pods.
Don't pay for water, pay for clean. If it's gotta be clean, it's gotta be Tide Pods.
Water content based on the leading bargain liquid detergent.
When you're an innovative business, every blinking cursor, every blank page is an opportunity. What will you do with it? Will you make something better or create something new? Our Dell Technologies advisors provide you with tools and expertise to do incredible things. Because we believe there's an innovator in all of us. For advice on smart PCs powered by Intel vPro that's built for business, call a Dell Technologies advisor at 877-ASK-DELL.
Hundreds are dead and more displaced after devastating floods in Nigeria.
It's the worst flooding in the country in over a decade. More than 600 people are dead and 1.3 million people are out of their homes in Nigeria. The fast-moving waters have submerged or completely destroyed 340,000 hectares of land. That is roughly the size of Nashville, Los Angeles, and New York City combined. Images show parents protecting their children by carrying them high above their heads to keep them safe. Authorities blame the floods on water released from a dam in Cameroon, as well as increased rains this year. Alex Hogan, Fox News.
The family of an American citizen arrested in Saudi Arabia says he was tortured and sentenced to 16 years in prison over tweets he sent while in the U.S. The 72-year-old was arrested last November while visiting family in the kingdom. His son, who recently went public, says he was arrested on terrorism charges. A new poll finds most Americans believe democracy is under threat.
71% say democracy is at risk. 7% identify it as the most important problem facing the country. The New York Times Siena College poll finds a majority of Democrats and Republicans say the other party poses a major threat to democracy. Overall, 28% of voters, 41% of Republicans say they have little to no faith in the accuracy of the upcoming midterm election results. 71% of Republicans say they'd be fine voting for a candidate who says the 2020 presidential election was stolen. 37% of independents and 12% of Democrats say that's not a deal breaker for them either. Chris Foster, Fox News.
The NFL getting into Black Friday action. The league has announced starting next year, Amazon Prime Video will stream a game the day after Thanksgiving. Prime Video is in its first season as the exclusive carrier of Thursday Night Football. I'm Lisa Lacera. This is Fox News.
Hello again, everyone. Let's check weather for Eastern Illinois, Champaign-Urbana and vicinity as we talked about a real November feel around these parts. And yeah, a couple of snowflakes as expected fluttering on by yesterday evening time. That's it for anything resembling winter, except for temperatures the next 48 hours or so. But come Thursday, we'll begin to moderate these readings on increasing southwesterly winds, and the jet stream buckling in from the south and southwest means milder to warmer days ahead, and later next week, some wetter days as well. So try to get it done while you may, where you can, and the best you can. In the meantime, a partly to mostly sunny, windy, cold days worth of weather. Average high this time of the year at around 65. Will struggle to 45 with that northwest wind increasing 15 to 25 and gusty. Hard freeze later on tonight. Clear, cold, diminishing wind down to 26 tomorrow. Hard freeze early on. Sunny skies, chilly and 48, but then partly sunny, breezy 59 Thursday. Into the 60s on Friday, low to mid 70s Saturday and Sunday, and some rain ahead for early next week. For Stevie J Broadcasting, I'm meteorologist Greg Solier.
Ignition sequence start. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Liftoff.
Check. I literally just create madness.
Well, they're up.
I'm going to go off here.
They don't have a great quarterback.
I got to take a break. I'm getting in trouble.
To win the Big Ten, you first got to win the West.
Bad Bunny. Have you heard his name in a while?
No.
Has it bothered you?
No. Defensively, they got to come in with some confidence.
Is that even analytics?
I'm in a parking garage, kind of lost.
Terrence Shannon, Matthew Meyer, R.J. Melendez, Coleman Hawkins.
These strong presentations aren't over.
I didn't come here to go 5-7.
I'm so proud of Illinois football right now. I'm so tired of Joel Embiid.
We're not taking Patrick Corbin.
I want to bet the Bears.
Oh.
You are Reba McEntire's niece.
Roshan Russell.
Coach Bielma.
You no longer salute to yourself.
What? We got all kinds of things for you here.
There's a lot of glass.
Oh.
Guys, we have breaking news.
Uh-oh.
It's the Drive.
Smack Dogs.
Thunderstick.
Well, the Guardians are trying. Derek Piper, they are trying. I was told, and I could be wrong on this, or the person that told me could be wrong, that this Guardians team, the median age of this roster is younger than like 12 minor league baseball teams. That's how young they are. And, of course, they've made it to face the Yankees in a do-or-die Game 5. Yankees now up 5-1 in the 6th inning. The Guardians have second and third with 2 out. So we'll see what happens. The guy that carries the baby around the infield, he just lined out to the shortstop, and he didn't carry the baby back to the dugout. He smiled on the way back to the dugout. So I guess he doesn't do that when he makes outs, then.
No, only when he homers off Garrett Cole.
Because Garrett's his son. So interesting stuff there. All right, we're going to hear from Dane Danger, not actually live, but an interview that was done with Dane today. We'll hear that as we go along. This hour, I also want to replay a little bit of what Adam Rittenberg had to say when he joined us in the first hour. That was good stuff with Adam.
It was. Great to talk to Adam. As we mentioned, a nationally relevant Illinois football team. Good insight on Ryan Walters, as we mentioned at the end of the last hour. You're going to want to play that back, his answer when I asked him, how hot of a commodity is Ryan Walters going to be on the national market after this season if Illinois' defense continues to progress. I think he gave an answer that Illini fans will be happy about. And, he mentioned the upcoming stretch, broke it down. Nebraska could be tricky with their offense. We know Purdue's got some firepower offensively, and we're all dreaming of a one-loss Illinois team marching into the big house in November.
How fun would it be? How fun would it be? All right, we've got to talk some NFL. We did touch on the fact that the
How
NFL
fun will this be?
Kind of boring this year. I mean, you had the Bills and Chiefs.
Lived up to the hype.
It did.
That one was great.
Really good game that the Bills end up winning. We'll go over that. Was there another game that was good? I'm trying to remember. I don't know.
I'm scrolling through them.
I mean, Thursday's game was bad. Monday Night Football was bad. Was Sunday Night Football? That was the Eagles-Cowboys.
Eagles got up big, and the Cowboys came back.
Okay, but
not really.
There just isn't very many good teams, like truly good teams.
Steelers won. They beat
Tom Brady and the Bucs.
Right, and Brady went off on.
Mitch Trubisky had to come in and made a big throw in that game.
Oh, boy. Big throw, Mitch.
Is that what they call it?
I don't know. Well, let's go through it. No, that's not what I want. No, I like to start that. This will be a lot of Kyle and Derek and Lon throwing in a word or two. Take it away, Kyle.
Well, should I start with last Thursday, or is Derek
We didn't really get to talk about
it?
I am disgusted by it. Doesn't mean we can't talk about it. We didn't mention it much at Pia's on Friday for good reason, because we actually had exciting things to talk about in Illinois, Minnesota. So, yeah, let's do that a little bit.
Let's hit it.
Well, the Commanders hung on for a 12-7 victory, your classic Thursday night football score this year. Bears were about 1 millimeter from winning the game if Darnell Mooney could have held on the ball.
That was awful.
There were a few, Cardinals-Pirates games that were 12-7 this year. Wow.
Yeah. I mean, you even had the one touchdown the Commanders scored, wasn't it off of the Velus Jones fumbled? Yet again, he fumbled one against the Giants that was pivotal in the Giants pulling away from the Bears. He fumbled his second punt return, and that led to Carson Wentz, who they had a terrible offensive game. The game was disgusting. I told you earlier in the week when you're like, I think the Bears are going to win. I kind of want to throw them in a parlay. I was like, be careful. I don't know about that.
Isn't it amazing how bad a team can be? I'm not just talking Bears here. It seems like when teams in the NFL go bad, they just go bad. You would not expect professionals to be this bad.
I agree.
I mean, you always hear about, well, how good would Alabama be against the worst team in the NFL? Well, the worst team in the NFL would smoke Alabama. That's what I always hear, right? And I tend to believe that. But then sometimes I watch these bad NFL teams, and it's just there's false starts.
So bad.
Incompletions. What am I trying to say when they throw the ball just to get it out of the pocket?
Intentional grounding?
Yeah, intentional grounding. Good Lord, Lon. They're just
terrible clock management.
Yeah, I mean,
bad coaching decisions. Yeah,
it's just amazing how bad a team can be.
Missed field goals all around.
Right.
I was sitting there with the Bears getting into the red zone or close and finding a way to mess it up. Like when Fields threw one off of a lineman's helmet that got picked off, and then they give the ball back to Washington, and Washington wouldn't score. I'm like, oh, Washington's actually this bad, huh? So the Bears are maybe going to find a way to win the game? No, they won't. It's an atrocity in Chicago. They've done a terrible job. It's the least surprising thing in the world that they stink. And everyone's throwing out the stats of Fields has been pressured more than anybody in the NFL, and his wide receiver drops a would-be game-winning touchdown. Oh, you don't spend any money on the wide receiving core, no money on the offensive line, and you're surprised that Fields, number one, is having a rough year so far, and number two, doesn't have enough around him. I keep going back to Fields deserves some of the blame, like the fact that he couldn't hit that tight end in the flat for a wheel route wide open touchdown is horrible. It's so depressing.
It is. I don't know.
I just don't see any way, because the Ryan Poles defenders, the people who want to be optimistic about the Bears too, say, well, you just get through this year, get a good draft pick, and then have so much money to spend
right.
and load up the team. What confidence is Justin Fields going to have, and what kind of quarterback is he going to be after just whatever the rest of this season is going to look like? What makes you feel like he'll be ready to take that team, regardless if you spend a bunch of money out of a number of different places, anywhere worthwhile?
If you were a good wide receiver, I'm trying to think of a good example here. if you were, I don't know.
DK Metcalf.
Okay, yeah, good call. And you were a free agent. Would you want to go play for the Bears next season? If they went out and signed a couple offensive linemen, they got a pretty good running game, would you hang your career on the idea that you're going to go to Chicago, which forever has been kind of a place that receivers go to die? Actually, they don't even have them. They don't die there. They don't even have them. I mean, are you confident if you're DK Metcalf or another
I know
receiver?
for this one, DK signed a big extension, so you'd have to trade for him. But just a high-profile wide receiver, no, the answer is no. I think coming out of the draft or even looking after last season, you'd say Fields has a big arm.
Yeah.
The future for him should be pretty bright, and then the lack of other legit options means you're probably going to get fed the ball a lot.
Oh, I would assume.
But
although Allen Robinson didn't see that, did he?
Yeah.
Or
Early on, he did.
Okay.
His first couple years in Chicago were pretty productive, but last year, no, he didn't do much, and now we're seeing even with the Rams, he's not doing very much. I also am very angry. Sorry to talk over.
No, I hate it because I've told you before, I kind of like the Bears.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a Cardinals fan. I kind of like when the Bears do well.
I should throw in reasons why things aren't working out. Instead of hiring Brian Daboll or even interviewing that guy, even interviewing an offensive-minded head coach. No, you know who they interviewed? Jim Caldwell, who hasn't been a head coach. Yeah, he's offensive, but hasn't been a head coach in like 5 years.
Did they interview the dude from Kansas City?
Bieniemy? No, Matt Nagy probably ruined that. He's like, Andy Reid tree, guy from Kansas City who's been around the building.
Right.
I mean, not to take away from Bieniemy, who's done a lot of good things.
No, I'm with
that
you.
probably soured that. I think also having not an offensive head coach and instead having a first-time play caller in the NFL is not helping things either.
It was funny because the Bears, weren't they 1-0 and then like 2-1?
Yes.
And we were actually running Matt Eberflus postgame. And now
that happened.
We don't even think about that anymore.
Uh-huh.
Well, at least the Packers aren't very good either.
That is comical.
I mean,
well, yeah, to that point.
Yeah.
Jets dominate the Packers.
Wow.
27-10. Packers have now lost to the Jets and Giants in back-to-back weeks. Times are tough in Green Bay right now.
They lost over in London, right? And
That's
then
right.
came home. Is there a little bit of that factor?
Yeah, this one was at home, too. Haven't seen something like this happen in Green Bay.
Who was the dude for the Jets? Okay, who was the dude for the Jets that had the cheese head on walking around?
Sauce Gardner, their first-round pick.
Sauce.
Cornerback.
You got to love, you can't really blame him because he's a rookie. He doesn't know any better with regards to the Jets, although you'd have to be really dumb not to understand that the Jets have been horrendous for so long in the NFL. But how about a guy on a team that is maybe arguably the worst team in the last 10 years to 20 years throwing a cheese head thing on and rubbing it in Green Bay Packers faces?
It's pretty great.
I'm surprised somebody didn't come out of the stands there.
Yeah.
They're pretty proud.
Well, I saw Alan Lazard walk by him and knocked it off his head. There was
he did?
a video
Okay.
of that on Twitter. So.
He did.
It's kind of like Terrell Owens, doing his thing on the Star there in Dallas or whatever. It's
right.
you don't do that here.
And he got blasted
He
for
did.
that.
He totally did.
Things are really wrong in Green Bay.
Yeah.
And again, it's not entirely surprising where they lose Devontae Adams. Rodgers takes a bunch of money and they don't have the room or don't make the move to go get a wide receiver. Now Randall Cobb, who's 55, is on the injured list. I think he's going to be on IR. That's a problem. And their defense who maybe got a little too much hype last year in hindsight because some of their numbers weren't in the elite categories, but it seemed that at the very end of the year they had a pretty darn good defense. This year they're not. They gave up 27 to the Jets, 27 to the Giants. And, I mean, we saw Justin Jefferson absolutely smoke them in week 1. They're not a very good defense, particularly a good run defense at all. And while they're going to catch a break playing the Commanders this week, at the Bills.
Oh, my.
Is their game after that.
Oh. That doesn't sound fun for them.
No.
Can I read this stat? I liked this today. It was from a kid that a kid because everybody's younger than me, that covers the Arizona Cardinals, Kyle Odegaard. He said Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson, and Kyler Murray signed the 3 biggest contracts in NFL history this offseason. Rodgers at $50.3 million, Wilson $49, and Murray $46.1.
Those are all per year.
All per year.
Yep.
Through 6 weeks, Rodgers is 24th in total QBR. Wilson is 25th.
Ugh.
And Kyler is 19th.
Wow.
So you spent collectively, just this year alone, $47 million for those 3 quarterbacks, and they're not in the top 18 in NFL and QBR.
Unbelievable.
That might go back to your history, your question about why is the NFL so boring. I don't know. Are we okay? For a long time, I'm going to get philosophical here. There was a point, and I understand the guys still make a lot of money, but like there was a point in baseball where starting pitchers were making so much money. Like it was getting beyond the point of ridiculousness. And again, I understand there's still examples of Scherzer and these. I'm sure Garrett Cole makes a lot of money, and there's examples of this. Don't get me wrong. But then it kind of like, I think teams kind of said, okay, hold on a second.
The injury risk
Burns
some teams.
Correct. And they're like, I don't know that I want to give, 12% of my payroll to one dude or more than that. And so I feel like the NFL right now is in this, they're in this spot where you feel like you have to have a quarterback. We've said that forever, right? And I feel like teams are like, well, we got to look at Kyler Murray as an example. We got to give him the money. Well, I don't know how good he is. I really don't. And then not only that, but you're giving him all this money, and now you don't have anything else to give to anybody else.
It's a problem.
And I don't know. I look at that stuff, and I'm like, is that the way you win? I don't know.
It's a good question. I mean, that's why people talk about if you can maximize that rookie contract in terms of spending money elsewhere, it's a good spot to be in. But then
there again, Stafford made a lot. They won a Super Bowl. Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen both make a lot. They're the 2 best teams, I think, in football.
Right.
So obviously
not everyone's going to do the Tom Brady and take a discount.
Right. I just wonder when you get to that point where you're like, I'd almost rather have that secondary quarterback. Although, like the Niners tried that with Trey Lance, right? And, of course, he's still in his rookie contract, but Garoppolo makes a lot of money.
Right.
They tried to do it defensively, and they made it last year. So I don't know.
It's a hard thing because in the situation of Kyler, it's like, is this guy elite? Not right now, no. But we got to give him elite money.
Correct.
But the alternative is, okay, we can let him walk, but then we might end up with picking the next Josh Rosen.
Yeah, exactly.
Or Mitch Trubisky
or having Mitch Trubisky
whoever it might be.
Yeah. No, you're right. You're right. I mean, it's tough. You know what? You got to draft well. It really comes down to your draft picks have to hit. It's that simple. And you can't, that's like the Arizona, I'm not going to go into it. They're in the worst position when it comes to that. They don't draft well. They just gave up a couple of more draft picks for Robbie Anderson, who next year is going to make like $12 million against the cap. So you're going to have DeAndre Hopkins at like $44 million against the cap. Kyler Murray at like $30 or $40 million against the cap. Robbie Anderson at 12. DJ Humphries, your left tackle, who's really good. I'm not going to lie to you. At like 21 against your cap.
It's tough.
What else you got?
It's tough. I at least appreciate the spending on offense.
Yeah, right.
I'll tell you that.
Right.
Another thing I think, and I know we got to move on to the next games, but one thing also contributing to the product, it just seems like there's so many injuries.
A lot of injuries.
Fantasy owners can relate to that.
Just my team alone and your team. Keenan Allen, DJ Swift. Keenan Allen's played one game.
Michael Thomas, Jonathan Taylor.
Yep.
Go on down the list.
Hollywood Brown now hurt.
Tua.
Mm-hmm.
Mac Jones. There's a ton of Dak. There's so many guys that have been out.
Yeah, it's been. Yeah, you're right. It's been I don't know. And it just happens to coincide with my team is horrendous. I'm not talking about Arizona. Talking about Camargo Cards fantasy team. They're horrendous.
Boiler something.
Oh.
TBD.
There's a train on the track.
Well, it's not Purdue week. Boiler up.
What was the song? There's a in the house. Woo, woo. What was that?
I don't know.
Did you guys not sing that at homecoming?
No,
or? There's a woo, woo. Well, actually, that's the dog in the house right there. Okay, go ahead, Kyle. I'm sorry.
Well, you mentioned Mac Jones. The Patriots are somehow getting it done without him, with Bailey Zappi at quarterback. They blew out the Browns.
It sounds like a lighter. Like, can you hand me my Bailey Zappi so I can light my cigar?
Well, he led the Patriots to a 38-15 victory over
Wow.
the Browns, who are just playing terrible football.
That's the other thing. Like there's this, to me, the Patriots are kind of like right in the middle of a decent team, right? They're not horrible. They're not good. These bad teams are just bad. Like Detroit.
Yeah.
Even though they score a lot. I mean, you got Detroit who scores a lot. They're bad. The Bears don't score. They're bad. Cleveland is Cleveland. Arizona can't score. They're bad.
Seahawks have no defense.
No. Denver is pathetic, but they have a good defense, but they can't score. I don't know.
And that's the way we're wired, like entertainment-wise, fantasy-wise. I'd much rather watch, throw on Detroit and Seahawks. I'd actually watch that game.
Good call.
First to 45 wins versus having to watch whatever the heck Denver's doing offensively. That stuff is ugly.
And what happened to Justin Herbert?
I know.
I mean, we'll get to him, but
I know. On that note, though, Cleveland almost beating the Chargers last week, and before that they had beaten somebody. And it's like, oh, Cleveland's still decent without Deshaun Watson, obviously.
Right.
And then here come the Patriots. I thought the Patriots were bad.
Yep.
But Zappi's actually decent. They almost beat the Packers, and they hammer the Lions, and they hammer the Browns. Ramondre Stevenson's having a really good season here.
This Zappi kid, was he a 6th-round pick?
Something like that.
Oh, crap.
Figures.
Here we go. Here we go. All right, go ahead.
Bengals hold on against the Saints,
The hell's
30
wrong
to
with
26.
Cincinnati? I mean,
they have not been impressive so far.
They were so fun to watch last year.
They were.
And I mean, their offensive line wasn't good last year either.
Nope.
I mean, Joe Mixon puts up yards. You've got T. Higgins. You've got Jamar Chase. You've got Tyler Boyd. You've got Joe Burrow, who was great last season. I mean, this team played in the Super Bowl, and they're struggling to beat bad teams.
It's weird.
It is. It's weird.
Now, they ended up rallying in this game and put up 30. And
Okay.
Chase had a good game, a $132 through the air, 2 touchdowns, but he's been really quiet so far in terms of his start leading up to this game. And the Saints just finding a way to their whole receiving core was out. Olave was out, Thomas was out, Jarvis Landry was out, Jameis Winston was out.
Do you know one defensive player on the Saints?
Lattimore.
Okay.
Marcus Lattimore.
That might be the most no-name team out there.
And the Honey Badgers on there.
Oh,
Tyrann Mathieu.
Yeah. Okay. Maybe
Cam Jordan on the D-line.
No. Well, look at you. Studying up on the Saints before you came in. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, I don't know.
That game at least had points.
The Cardinals play the Saints this week, and I feel like the Cardinals should beat the Saints. But yet, if I were a Saints fan, I'd be like, well, the Saints should beat the Cardinals. I mean, that's the way I look at these two teams. All right.
Giants come back late.
What's up with
Beat
them?
the Ravens, moved to 5-1.
I mean, can I say this? As much as we rip on the Giants forever, this is a pretty good team. And Saquon Barkley, well, you can't win with running backs. You don't want to risk it with running backs. Well, you had 2 years, basically, of Barkley not helping you at all because he was hurt. But, man, when he's on,
yeah,
kudos to the Giants. Kudos to the Giants, who are a pretty good team this season. And they're kind of fun to watch.
No, they definitely are. Watching Saquon do his thing, one of the elite backs in football. And they got ripped for years for taking Saquon as high as they did in the new age of passing and all of that.
Exactly.
Daniel Jones has been fine. He hasn't been bad in terms of ruining games for them. And defensively, they're solid, too.
Yep.
I think this also says something about, I mean, they're 5-1. Give them their credit. Brian Daboll is doing a good job. But Lamar not having a good game. The Ravens now 3-3 after what looked like an impressive start offensively.
Lamar's like costing them games.
Kind of disappointing.
Did you ever have a guy on your fantasy team? Now, hear me out. So every year around Christmas, and I'm talking like the second or third weekend of December, we would go up to Chicago to see my brother, and we would end up in a bar on a Saturday, and there'd be a Saturday NFL game on. And it seemed like it was always the Giants, and I always either had a guy on the Giants or was going against a guy on the Giants. And then it got to the point, like later in life when we were still doing this, I would literally pick somebody up from the Giants, knowing that I was going to be in Chicago. I mean, it's just weird. Do you ever have is there a certain team that late in the season, like, is kind of winners rolling around? It's getting close to where, you know, your football playoffs are going to roll around in fantasy. Is there ever, like, one team that you always have a guy on?
I haven't noticed that.
Yeah, that's always been the case for me with the Giants. I don't know why.
Pittsburgh Steelers
Kyle
stun the Bucks. Mitch
I always love how
Trubisky
Kyle
comes
doesn't
off the
add
bench.
anything.
He keeps it rolling.
I mean, listen,
that's his job.
I gotta keep it rolling somehow.
Hey,
We've gotten through like 3 games.
You're
so
right.
far.
You're right. It's 5:31. You're right. Good call.
Steelers stun the Bucks. Mitch Trubisky comes off the bench.
Kyle in his third week now taking over producer roles and like
Someone
yelling
has
at
to.
me.
20-18. Steelers get it done over the Bucks.
Like, what's wrong with the Bucks?
I've been on the Bucks, and now things are wrong.
Is Bruce Arians being gone? Is Todd Bowles? He's not much of an offensive dude, but they still have Byron Leftwich, right?
Yeah. Brady's not right. He's missing some throws. He's also missing some practice time.
I mean, Leonard Fournette has been a stud.
Yeah, been very productive. But the fact that they're leaning on him so much in the passing game, not getting the ball to Mike Evans, I thought Evans would shred them because the Steelers had DBs out. Obviously, Julio's banged up, so they haven't had their full arsenal. I think also when you look at the Bucs secondary, what's a pretty good defense, especially their front seven. We know their run defense is really good. Their secondary's been pretty vulnerable. Like we saw Patrick Mahomes obviously dice them up.
No doubt.
But I'm not going to completely sell all of my Bucs stock because here the last couple of years they've rallied later on in the season and figured things out. But maybe Tom's personal life is bothering him
I
think,
think
that much.
I think it's obvious.
They're off kilter.
What are the standings? Are the Steelers like in first place? Probably
they're 2-4.
But they're probably a game out in that.
Yeah, the Ravens 3-3, the Browns 2-4, and the Bengals 3-3. You're right, game out at 2-4.
The Steelers will figure out a way to make the playoffs.
Gross.
Correct.
Minnesota Vikings.
Yeah.
Beat the Dolphins, moved to 5-1. This was just a disgusting game.
Let me tell you what you want to do. You want to go out and get Justin Jefferson in either football or fantasy football because he is unreal. He didn't do anything in the first half of this game and then tore it up in the second half. Dalvin decent, although
Dalvin broke a big run late to seal the game.
I mean, Minnesota just has a pretty complete team, and they're going to win that division, I think.
They're 5-1, and with all the Packers issues, they're in a leg up on the Packers. They're in a pretty good spot. Still wonder if their defense is good enough. I mean, I think big picture, like advancing in the playoffs. Right now, they're in a good spot. But on the note of fantasy, there were some doubters of Tua and like, can he get the ball down the field to Tyreek? If you took Tyreek, you're sitting pretty right now. And
he lit me up.
He's been a guy, as far as betting wise, throw some coins on his over every week, and Kyle knows that's getting it done.
He's on pace to break Calvin Johnson's record for most receiving yards in a season. Now there is an asterisk that they added a game since Calvin Johnson played, but still he's got 701 yards through 6 games.
Okay,
it's unreal.
Tua is going to be back next week, so
He
I'm
is.
excited because
Okay.
this offense has just not been the same at all with Bridgewater and then a little bit of Skylar Thompson. Colts get revenge on the Jaguars, 34-27.
No Jonathan Taylor.
Right.
Matt Ryan, man. Who's the rookie wide receiver for the Colts? Who is tearing it up?
Is that Alec Pierce?
Yeah.
Yes.
He caught the game-winning touchdown.
He's tearing it up lately, if you haven't noticed. That might be a guy you want to go out and add to your fantasy team wide receiver-wise. I think Matt Ryan likes him, and he's dialed into him. Is what's-his-face out right now?
Pittman's playing.
Oh, Pittman is playing.
Yeah.
It seems like Ryan likes Pierce.
He does.
And then their rookie, then they had the young running back go for like 22 for one something. But I think Taylor's supposed to be back. I don't know. This Colts team I can't figure out.
I'm with you. I still don't think they're that good. Their defense has been like a top 10 unit here the last couple of years when they've been a playoff team. Obviously, they barely missed it last year. But I thought that, it was disappointing for the Jags, who led for most of this game, to give it up late. Credit to Matt Ryan for throwing for 400 yards and 3 touchdowns. I just got the sense when we talked about this game last week that it would be a split. It seems like every year the Jags and Colts that's just the way the AFC South works.
Right.
That's another one of those divisions.
Right.
You can be 2-4 like the Jags are and like a game out.
Yep.
Atlanta Falcons, 28-14 over the 49ers.
I called this one, guys.
You did call this. Can I tell you how bad my fantasy team is? Even though he really didn't have that great of a game, one of the biggest storylines is Kyle Pitts caught a touchdown. Well, he was going against me.
Finally got one.
That's how it is. Can I tell you? No, because nobody cares. How did Atlanta beat San Francisco?
I didn't watch it, so
How
I
did that
honestly
happen?
don't really know. They jumped on them early, 14-0 lead. Mariota had 2 touchdown passes, only threw for like 130 yards.
I don't think the Niners, Cardinals, or Seahawks are very good. And I don't know that the Rams are that great.
Rams aren't either.
The Niners are another one of those playoff teams last year.
Yep. This is weird.
And the NFC is pretty down, outside of the Eagles.
Yeah, you're right. Are we getting to the Eagles?
We got a long way to go.
Oh, okay.
A few more.
We'll go quick. We need to go quicker.
Speaking of that division, the Rams do get a win, but it's over the Panthers, 24-10.
Not impressed.
No.
24-10 against the Panthers? No.
No. All right, go to the next.
Seahawks beat the Cardinals.
Yeah, just go to the next.
Definitely not impressed.
Good Lord.
This one was actually exciting. Bills and Chiefs. Bills get it done. They get their revenge from last year, 24-20. I thought it was funny, too, if you heard on the broadcast in like the first quarter, Tony Romo goes,
yeah, he did.
This is going to be a 24-20 like game, and then that's the final score.
Of course, now if you kept listening, you said, or a 31. Yeah, I mean, I love that way. But I do like Tony. I mean, whatever. It's cool. Look, I think this tells me exactly what I thought, and I understand your Dolphins with Tua defeated the Bills. But
I'll even admit that was like a fluky one.
yeah, I just think these are the 2 best teams in football. They're the 2 best teams in the AFC. It's going to come down to these 2 again to get to the Super Bowl, and whoever wins the AFC Championship will win the Super Bowl.
If Lon would have been a sportscaster in the social media era, he would have spent his full allotment of 2.5 minutes on this game's going to be this or this or this or this. And then we could have clipped it up and say, did you see Lon predicted this game? You would have been famous real quick.
That is a great idea.
That's all you could.
I need to start
anyone
doing
out
that.
there in the business, Brett Behrens.
I need to start doing that. It's a great idea.
And then you go viral.
Yep.
But give us as much of this matchup as we can possibly get. Would love to see Bills, Chiefs in Buffalo in the playoffs this year. It's like that every time Manning and Brady played each other for a decade plus was awesome, and this is just like that.
It's awesome. All right.
Eagles moved to 6-0, beat the Cowboys 26-17. It got a little close late.
Sure.
But Eagles look legit.
Eagles are legit. I mean, Jalen Hurts, pretty good stinking quarterback. Miles Sanders doing some things. I mean, I like this Eagles team. And again, it's a good year to be good in the NFC because you might be the only good team. in the NFC.
Right. The Eagles check a lot of boxes. They can run it. They got weapons they can throw it with, and then their defense is pretty darn good. Picked off Cooper Rush 3 times.
I'm sure Dallas is chomping at the bit to get Dak back, get back to Dallas. And get.
It's funny how that switch flips, isn't it?
Yes.
It's like, let's push Dak's return down the road a little bit. And it's like one bad game for Cooper. We need him back. He's healthy now.
We got to have him back. Shouldn't he be back? Well, he's got that thumb, right?
He's going to be back this week, he says.
Oh, okay.
That's what he says.
Chargers somehow escaped the Broncos last night.
What is up with Justin Herbert?
19-16. Russell Wilson goes like 10 for 10 on the first drive and then does absolutely nothing after that.
Goodness. So Lucas texts me and he goes, hey, real quick, I just got a quick. They have a boost.
Uh-huh.
Oh, yeah.
Uh-huh. I got sucker into this.
Justin Herbert to throw 1 touchdown. And I'm like, are you kidding me? I was doing something at home. And I'm like, well, yeah, I'd take that.
Yeah.
And he didn't throw 1 touchdown. What is wrong with him? I know he's hurt, but.
Set a record. Most pass attempts in a game for a winning team that didn't throw a touchdown.
Is that
he threw
right?
It 57 times.
Wow.
On a team that won the game 19-16, and he didn't throw a touchdown. It was a record-breaking, awful performance, and somehow DraftKings stole everybody's money. The people who make these boosts, the people who sit in the room and come up with these boosts that are so tempting and rarely ever hit are the smartest people in the world.
Why are they not working for our government?
That's a great point. They're the smartest people in the world.
You need to take 12 guys and gals that figure this betting out and put them all in our government. Pick one of them to be the president. The other 11 will be the next top things, whatever they are in order. And this country will run magnificently.
It will. Either that or
they have the book that Biff had.
Yeah. Or now that DraftKings is an official sponsor of the NFL.
I'm telling you.
There's some WWE scripting going on. Really makes you think.
I think somebody has Biff's book. And what they do is they throw a bone at us on occasion. Like a boost that does work. But then they're like, hey, let's do that. But then next week we're going to go with that Herbert thing. Yeah, we'll make up all our money and then triple it. It's ridiculous. Are we done?
We are.
We made it.
It's painful to get through. I bet it's painful to listen to.
I hope not, but it might be.
Well, with me talking. All right, when we come back, we're not going to run Dame Danger. We're going to play that maybe tomorrow. When we come back, Adam Rittenberg had some really good stuff to say about this Illinois football team, including Derek Piper asking him about Ryan Walters and his possibility of leaving for a head coach next year. You might like what Adam Rittenberg has to say. We'll do that next. It is The Room.
One of country music's most exciting and iconic live entertainers is headed to Champaign with his full band. Travis Tritt, live at the Virginia Theater Friday, December 9th. Tickets on sale now for Travis Tritt, Friday, December 9th. An evening with Travis Tritt. Tickets and details at thevirginia.org. See you there.
Well, here's a quarter. Call someone who cares.
Flowers equals smiles equals happiness. Think love with flowers. The Blossom Basket Florist can put a smile on everyone's face with a beautiful spring floral creation. Let their flowers make you a hero. Flowers are always affordable for all occasions, from simple to simply magnificent. Visit them online at blossombasket.com or come into their store at 1002 North Cunningham Avenue in Urbana.
The Blossom Basket Florist. The florist you pick.
PDR Automotive in Urbana has been providing quality auto repair service for almost 50 years. Trusted by AAA Motor Club, PDR employs ASE certified technicians that use the latest in diagnostic equipment. They offer nationwide warranties and are even authorized to perform vehicle maintenance that won't void your factory warranty. Check them out 24/7 online at pdrauto.com. When you turn the key and the car won't run, call 367-9481. They are what's best for your truck or car. They are PDR.
Hi, I'm Jay Lehman. As a former elite athlete, my chiropractic care is very important to me. I believe in it, but sometimes chiropractic care can be expensive and inconvenient, but not at the Joint Chiropractic, located at 2003 South Neal. Not only does the Joint have great chiropractors, it's affordable, convenient, and no appointment or insurance is necessary. Text Champagne to 56468 to claim the new patient special, $29 for a consultation, examination, and adjustment at the Joint Champagne.
Hey, this is Ben Grice from the Humble Hog in downtown Paxton, and grilling season, it's here. Are you ready? If you're a seasoned barbecue pro or a total amateur, take your meal to the next level. We've got our sauces bottled and ready to go. We've got Rub, the best spices to take your barbecue to the next level. Or if you've got a big crowd, we even have extra meat. Dine in or take it home. It's super quick. You can order our sauces and our rub online at humblehogbbbq.com.
Saturday, March 25th, it's Cody Johnson and Friends, live in concert at State Farm Center.
You're gonna love somebody, hold them as long and as strong and as close as you can, until you can.
Tickets are on sale now for Cody Johnson and Friends.
I guess all I'm saying is forgive me if I don't know what I'm doing. I'm still learning to be human.
With special guest Randy Hauser.
Let me show you how country feels.
Cody Johnson and Friends, live at State Farm Center, Saturday, March 25th.
On my way to you. On my way to you.
Tickets for Cody Johnson and Friends are on sale now. Get yours at StateFarmCenter.com, the Illinois ticket office, and by phone at 866-ILLINI-1.
What do you mean, I get the whole store?
I'm Dennis Regan, chairman of Dick Van Dyke Appliance World. And when we promise you the whole store, we mean all we do is appliances. We offer a showroom full of the top appliance brands, complete with our free 10-year protection plan.
Who does your warranty work? Some outfit with a 1-800 number?
No way. Our service and installation technicians are employed and factory trained by us. And our protection plan means you pay nothing for covered repairs.
So, I get a free 10-year protection plan, a guaranteed best deal, a hometown service department, and a showroom full of name brand appliances? Wow!
Hey, lady, that's my line. All we do is appliances, and we do them better than anyone else. Wow!
Big Bad Dyke Appliance World. When you buy from us, you get the whole store.
The Disability Resource Expo is coming to Marketplace Mall from 10 till 5 on Saturday, October 22nd. Stevie J Broadcasting reminds you to experience this terrific event to help empower people in our community, with so many organizations helping you to reach out for answers. Get details on being a vendor, sponsor, volunteer, or simply find out the exhibitors you'd like to visit at Marketplace Mall on October 22nd by going online to disabilityresourceexpo.org.
Crossroads Contractor Supply, bringing us our Stevie J Broadcasting Law Enforcement Official of the Month.
We're featuring Sergeant Bradley Corral, has been with the Champaign Police Department nearly 17 years, oversees a team of 11 detectives in the Criminal Investigations Division. He and his team look at about 1,500 investigations annually. It's Brad Corral. Congratulations.
Thank you.
How is it when people accuse police of stuff comes at you all the time?
Absolutely.
You know in your heart it's not true.
Correct.
You know the people you work with aren't that way.
Right.
How do you just keep walking?
Well, I've done this now for 20 years as of last month. It does still hurt at times when you get accused of things that you know you're not, but you learn over time that it's just something you have to kind of separate. You know, there's a job to do. You have a profession that is very professional with a lot of great gals and guys that do a good job. So you have to focus on those things and try not to let the negativity bring you down.
Crossroads Contractor Supply, delivering within a 150-mile radius of Champaign-Urbana, supporting our Law Enforcement Official of the Month.
Hi, it's Stevie J. Start your day with me along with Diane Ducey, weekday mornings 7 to 9, here on ESPN Radio 93.5.
All right, Derek Piper. We will hold Dane Danger maybe for tomorrow. We got Jonah Wilson coming on tomorrow talking some Missouri Valley basketball. The preseason's coming out, so we'll talk some hoop tomorrow. Missouri Valley and also Big Ten. Kind of a cool thing, Thursday at 5:05, Terry Allen, who used to coach Northern Iowa football in the Gateway Conference. It's now the Missouri Valley. He was Kurt Warner's head football coach at Northern Iowa. And so he's going to join us at 5:05 Thursday. It's a little bit off the wall kind of thing, but it'd be kind of cool to get some Kurt Warner stories. And, Kurt Warner was the third string quarterback his sophomore and junior year in college.
That's crazy.
And Coach Allen's like, well, that's how bad I was as a coach, although he was really good at Northern Iowa. All right, Adam Rittenberg, ESPN, joined us first hour talking Illinois. And Adam Rittenberg is a national reporter for ESPN. Illinois is nationally relevant, Derek Piper.
It's awesome.
It is.
It's been a long time. And the fact where you have a top-notch reporter like Adam Rittenberg, who's all over the country covering college football, that he is paying attention to what Illinois is doing. It says something about what Brett Bielema is doing this year and what Illinois can still accomplish down the road.
Now, you lead us into this first question because you're going to ask about Chase Brown. And you're also going to ask about the next couple of games, but you started off with Ryan Walters.
I did because on the heels of Rittenberg mentioning Illinois' defense being one of the top units in the country, some of the thoughts, I know it's down the road, we'll get there when we get there, but there's been some reporting of Ryan Walters being looked at for the Colorado job, and I was wondering how much of a chance is there, even beyond Colorado, of Ryan being a attractive head coaching candidate? Adam, from a national scope, how hot of a commodity do you think Ryan Walters will be after the season based on what he's done?
Yeah. Certainly, with the Colorado job open, it's a very relevant question because he played there. Beyond Colorado, I don't know if there's necessarily a job that would fit Ryan and that he would want. But you just don't know what else is going to open, depending on other movement. I think we're at a point, kind of at a standstill in the carousel right now. Everyone's sort of waiting for Auburn, but there's not a lot of obvious jobs that are going to open that are kind of at that level. And so, if Colorado goes with somebody else, and there's not a whole lot of a domino effect in terms of coaches moving from one Power 5 to another, I think there's a really good chance Ryan is back at Illinois next year. He really likes working there. He really loves working alongside Brett Bielema. I think he wouldn't say this, but I think it was probably a tough situation there at the end at Missouri. Maybe not a great match with Eli Drinkwitz, another young head coach. But I think coming to Illinois with a veteran head coach who has a background on defense, has worked under Bill Belichick, has worked under a lot of great coaches in his career. Barry Alvarez has been really beneficial for Ryan in his development. And he's only 36 years old. There's no rush. He's making a lot of money. He's doing really well. And so I think he can be choosy in the future. I think that's why it was really important Illinois was proactive with his contract last year. He feels valued, and he knows he's developing as a young coach. Whether that leads to a head coaching job this year or next year or the following year, we'll see. But it's been obviously a great success story for the Illini.
Lon didn't like me asking the question. I think he liked the answer.
I've been smiling ever since.
Him and a lot of Illini fans out there. A guy that I'm not sure will be back, though, Chase Brown, who's put himself on the outside of the Heisman contention. Will he actually win it? Probably not, but it'd be cool to see him at least in New York in December, and he has that chance with the stats he's putting up. Adam, what have you made of Chase Brown's season so far, and what would he need to do to get in the building there in New York in December?
Yeah, he's had a tremendous season. He was really good last year, as you guys know as well, and it's sort of built on that with his performance and the consistency that he's played with. He's in such great condition, and he's a guy that can absorb, 25, 30, 35 carries if need be, and that's certainly valuable. I think he's going to need to put up a huge number against Michigan, most likely, to really pop and get on the Heisman radar. There's just so many quarterbacks, as you guys know, between Hendon Hooker now, who might be the favorite coming off of the win against Alabama, Bryce Young, obviously the returning Heisman winners in that mix, C.J. Stroud. We haven't seen him for a couple of weeks at Ohio State, and there's other players who have really good numbers. And then at the running back position, he's probably being overshadowed a little bit in the Big Ten by Blake Corum at Michigan. I was just up there with the Wolverines, and Blake's obviously had a tremendous season. He's been on the national broadcast with Fox a few times, so that helped. So if Chase were to go into Michigan Stadium and outplay Blake Corum, probably before a big audience, that would help his chances, especially because that would maybe mean Illinois is going to the Big Ten championship game, and I think that game, whether it's against Michigan, whether it's against Ohio State, is another opportunity for Chase Brown. I mean, unfortunately, with the schedule that Illinois has, I don't know how many people are going to pay attention to the Nebraska game. Maybe a few more will pay attention to the Purdue game.
That's fair.
If that's the division on the line. But Blake Corum is at Michigan A, and he also has more exposure B. And then you got Bijan Robinson down at Texas, who has those similar things working in his favor. So that's probably the reality for Chase. But if he continues to put up big numbers, it'll be impossible to leave him off that stage in New York.
Adam is one of the best in the business. Follow him on Twitter at ESPN Rittenberg. Adam, a lot of Illini fans dreaming about what that could look like in Ann Arbor in November if Illinois is a one-loss team and Michigan continues on their trajectory. But for Illinois to get there, their next few, they're at Nebraska, they got Michigan State at home and Purdue at home. What do you make of that upcoming stretch, and maybe who would be – I mean, Purdue's the team that a lot of people are seeing as the biggest challenger in the West, but what do you think of this next stretch for Illinois?
Yeah, I think it sets up really well, right? I mean, they're going to get Michigan State a week after the Michigan game, which is going to be emotional for them. Game at night, a physical game. I mean, Michigan just pounded Penn State into submission at the game last week that I was covering. So that I think that works out well. Now, Nebraska's dangerous. Nebraska's playing a lot better football than they were earlier in the season. I think Mickey Joseph's done a nice job as the interim coach. They've got a dangerous offense, maybe a better passing offense than Illinois has faced so far this season. I think they do, absolutely. Just the combination of Casey Thompson and Trey Palmer is unlike anything Illinois has seen to date. So that's going to be a nice test for that defense coming off of the open week. But I like when they get Michigan State. And then Purdue, we'll see. Purdue's a team that they have the best quarterback in the West Division. They have an outstanding receiver in Charlie Jones. They can put up points. But, I like the coaching edge with Brett in that game because Brett's a guy that isn't going to beat himself. And I love Jeff Brom. I think he's a really creative and fun guy to watch coach his teams. But he also sabotages himself at times with his aggressiveness and his unwillingness to run the ball and do some of the things some of the other Big Ten coaches do. And so if that's a close game, and I think it will be, especially at home, I give the edge to Brett Bielema in that game just because of his experience in those types of games in this conference.
There you go. That is Adam Rittenberg. Great stuff with Adam Rittenberg. And to hear the full interview, just go to StevieJ.com. That's StevieJay.com. That is podcast first hour at 6 o'clock. Our excellent intern, Kyle Tosk, will podcast hour 2, which is really a lot of us talking about how bad the NFL is. And Derek goes on a mini rant about the Chicago Bears.
I did.
I should have piped it up. You're getting there.
Oh, I'm there.
Okay.
I'm there.
All right.
I'm there.
Maybe next week we'll do a little piped up on the Chicago
After
Bears.
they lose Monday night to the Patriots, I'll just be...
You'll be really ready.
Either that or just done.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Stop caring. But, yeah, one of the two. Stay tuned.
Well, you said you're getting to be, what was the word you used?
Apathetic.
All right, so before you get all the way apathetic, I still want you mad. So we got to pipe that up.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll channel that.
All right, thanks to Adam Rittenberg on the Dick Van Dyke Appliance World phone line. Thanks to everybody else texting in the U of I Line Link text line. See you guys tomorrow. My voice will be back tomorrow. That is a promise. It is The Drive.
Carl works every day to improve the health of community members across the region, and it would not be possible without team members like Dwayne Linton, a nationally certified nurse in the emergency department at Carl Foundation Hospital.
I work with a team of people who really care about what they do and are very flexible and adaptive in rapidly changing critical situations, and I would trust any of them at any time.
If you're looking for an opportunity to serve your community like Dwayne in a supportive environment, visit carl.org/careers.
Kelsey Furniture in downtown Tuscola sells Tempur-Pedic beds. What's it like?
I'm going to tell you right now, Stevie, that thing is the best thing I've ever slept on in my life. My wife and I both have said we've never had better night's sleep. And the people at Kelsey's were fantastic. Brian is the guy that helped us. You know, as much as I did my research, he has a world of knowledge about beds themselves. Oh, man, it's like sleeping on a cloud, man.
Kelsey Furniture, downtown Tuscola.
Illinois football is back. Shop at Game Day Spirit this fall and gear up to support your Fighting Illini football team. With great football designs and brand new apparel from top brands, they're the one-stop shop to get everything you need this football season. Shop with them at the corner of Neal and Kirby in Champaign, 6th and Green in Campustown, and online 24/7 at GameDaySpirit.com. Game Day Spirit, where Illini fans shop.
At Busey Wealth Management, we're proud to partner with individuals, families, and foundations